Hello and welcome to this edition of News Click. We have with us today Dr. Akbar Zaidi from Pakistan, who will be discussing the developments post the N.R.O. order of the Supreme Court. Akbar, good to have you with us.
Thank you, Prabir.
This N.R.O. order, which the Supreme Court now has struck down, basically saying that all the people who had been sort of exempted from action, prosecution and so on, now it seems has thrown the whole issue wide open and all of them are liable for prosecution. What do you think happens to President Zardari in this?
At the moment, President Zardari has immunity because he's the president. But the Supreme Court has also said that they're going to examine the Berlusconi case, where the Italian Supreme Court said that the immunity is taken away to prosecute for whatever cases die. But I think more importantly what has happened is, before the N.R.O. even was thrown out by the Supreme Court, there has been a very active attempt to malign President Zardari, to throw him out, to prosecute him for different reasons, to suggest that he should be replaced by somebody. It's usually the army which does the replacement in Pakistan. So there's been this very active, malicious campaign. And the main reason that is being stated is that he's very corrupt. I think we've known his past record of corruption, whether it was 10% or whether he had mansions in Surrey, whether he was under prosecution by the Swiss courts, but he's never actually been found guilty. That's the first thing. The second is that he's Pakistan's, I think, third or fourth democratically elected president, which says a lot in the case of Pakistan because we don't have democratically elected leaders at any level. So he's been elected by the caucus. So that is something that is also important. Nevertheless, there's been a strong campaign to remove him. So the N.R.O. was supposed to be the last coffin, and it was suggested that he'd be pushed aside by this. But what has happened is that after the N.R.O. was thrown out by the Supreme Court, not just Zardari but the People's Party, because a large number of these very senior ministers are also implicated in the N.R.O. Deal, as well as the MQM, who have a number of leading politicians who are also now whose cases are going to be opened. So what the People's Party has done and what Zardari has done is that they've decided to rally round Zardari and say that they're going to fight back. And they're saying that no one's going to resign. And they say we'll see what happens in court.
Fight the cases as
they're
it comes
going to fight the
along.
cases in the court.
You know, the important part is when you say there was a malicious campaign, which are the forces who did not want a institution of the president to be strengthened, or the democratic institutions in that sense to be strengthened in Pakistan? Who do you think are these forces?
See, the lead for this campaign in the press has been one particular newspaper group, very powerful, the most powerful Urdu and English newspaper group, or media group rather, not just newspaper, on television, which has been saying that they're speaking the truth. They've done this in the past as well. You see, and there are also, one can only call them rumors or allegations that the military is also involved. Pakistan's military wants Mr. Zardari and a couple of other leading ministers to be removed or replaced because they feel that they are towing the American line. And I think what happened over the Kerry-Lugar bill, which became the Kerry-Lugar Act, the fact that the military had reservations over it, while Mr. Zardari and his cabinet ministers felt that this is one of the best things that could happen to Pakistan, that it would get $1.5 billion for 5 years, which is peanuts. 1.5 billion is nothing. But nevertheless, they went out of the way, and the ambassador, the Hussain Haqqani, Pakistani ambassador in Washington, also went out of his way to get the Kerry-Lugar bill approved into an act. So I think there was some difference in terms of how the president's backers and the military saw the developments of Pakistan.
So one section of the Pakistan establishment, which includes, I presume, the military, would like the civilian administration, the political forces, to remain weak. Is that what is part of this?
One doesn't know what the military thinks because they're very quiet and they're very secretive about it, and one can only conjecture. It seems that the military, if it thinks as one, would want the Prime Minister Yusuf Raza Gilani, that setup to stay in place. They're not uncomfortable with, let's call it democracy, the democratic institutions, the setup. They're not uncomfortable with that. I think it's more of a personality-driven attack against certain people, perhaps Zardari, perhaps Rahman Malik, and one or two others who they don't like. I think probably because of the closeness that these people have with the Americans. Although, it's quite ironic that the closeness that Musharraf had with George Bush was closer than anything that Obama and Zardari will have, going for them ever. So, it's ironic and it's nonsensical. But I think it's a personality-driven thing. A weaker, more subservient president, a quieter president, even from the People's Party, a more acceptable president, may not have caused such a problem. So, it's difficult to sort of to hold the military responsible for undermining democracy. So I think that's important. They have in the past. I'm not ever going to defend the military for what they've done. But I think that they're not in a position they're fighting the war in Waziristan, in Swat, in all on the border, in Balochistan also. There are allegations that there are other countries are involved, so they're also involved. They're involved in, at the moment, they're not involved in the politics of the country. They're involved in fighting different wars. And I don't think they're ready to take over power. And I don't think they're even interested in destabilizing the political setup. So I think it's more of a personality-driven thing.